Hello friends, welcome to Shikshathi. In this video, we'll be discussing a few examples on calendars. So let's start. So as you would have seen in the last video that I had done on calendars, we had already talked about the basics and we had talked about few concepts and we had built up the concepts. So today what we'll do is we'll pick out few examples from the concepts itself and we will talk about how to calculate them mathematically. For example, if I say that the odd day concept is dependent on what? If I divide it by 7 and then I see what the remainder is, what was already discussed. So if I'm getting remainder like 0, then it is a Sunday. If I'm getting a remainder like 6, then it is supposed to be a Saturday. We have already discussed this, but we will try and prove it mathematically. So we know that a non-leap year has 365 days, right? So when I divide it by a 7, I get what? I get 52 weeks. So I get the quotient as 52, I get the remainder as 1, and then the divisor was 7 itself. So as discussed already in my video on fractions, wherein a mixed fraction, if I am writing, now this is called as a mixed fraction wherein this is the quotient, this is the remainder, and this is the divisor. So how will I integrate this discussion with the discussion on calendars is what we are going to do now. So here I need to understand that the quotient is nothing but the number of weeks that I am getting, odd days is the remainder, and the days per week is just like saying 7 days per week was the divisor. So when I divide 365, which is the total number of days that I get in a non-leap year, divided by 7, I get the remainder as 1, which signifies that a non-leap year will give me one odd day, right? Similarly, in a leap year, I would have taken the numerator as 366, and when I take the numerator as 366, in that case I divide it by 7 and I'll get the number of odd days as 2. So as already discussed, a leap year will give me 2 odd days and a non-leap year will give me 1 odd day, right? And we are just trying to prove it mathematically. Similarly, if we say, we had discussed that any 100 years will give me 5 odd days. So how do we get this? We will take 100 and we know that if I take 100 as 4 into 25, all I need to understand here is that this 25 needs to be, this is just like saying 4 into 25. Now when I say 4 into 25, all I need to understand here is how many leap years will I get and how many non-leap years will I get. So from here you will see that you get 24 leap years and 76 non-leap years. We have already discussed that every leap year gives me 2 odd days, so 24 into 2 gives me 48 odd days, and every non-leap year gives me 1 odd day. So 1 into 76 gives me 76 odd days. Now when I add 76 odd days with 48 odd days, I get total count as 124 divided by 7, which gives me how much? Which gives me, now if I were to relate this discussion with this discussion, I will say in any 100 years, I will get what? I'll get 17 weeks, right? I'll get 5 odd days, and why am I dividing it by 7? Because every week has 7 days, right? I hope this is understood. Next thing that I'm going to do here is, for example, if I give you a date, if the date is given to you as 31/12/2020 and I want to calculate which day was it or which day it is going to be. Since we are in the year 2020, so I can always say that, okay, I'll be taking 2 dates here. The first date that I'm going to take here is 1st of January 2020 and the last date that I'm going to take here is 31st December 2020. And what are we going to do? We are going to calculate mathematically as to the day that date happened, right? Let us see. Okay, so now the date that we had chosen was 31/12/2020 and we need to calculate which day was it. As already discussed, we discussed that we'll be taking few examples and we will be taking few examples. The answer of this is already known to you. How? Maybe it is written somewhere here on the board. But before I check that, it is better that I learn how to calculate it mathematically. Okay, so in that case, let us see that now this is just like saying this can be broken up as 2000 years plus another 20 years. Now can I say this 2000 is a multiple of 400 and these another 20 years will give me how many leap years and how many non-leap years? So these 20 years will give me how many leap years? Can I say this will give me 5 leap years and 15 non-leap years? Now how do I do this? So from here, let us first talk about this. We had already talked about that any multiple of 400, any 400 years gives me 0 odd days, right? So now this is going to give me how many odd days? This is going to give me 0 odd days plus the number of odd days that I'm going to get from here. But before I go ahead with that, we need to calculate that these another 20 years will give me how many leap years and how many non-leap years. So we know that every leap year occurs once in every 4 years, right? So we would say that what? This is just like saying 4 into 5. So 5 leap years and how many balance? 15 non-leap years. So can I say 5 leap years will give me how many odd days? 10 odd days. And 15 non-leap years will give me how many odd days? Okay. So from here we get how many odd days? This is just like saying 25 divided by 7. So 25 divided by 7 gives me how many odd days? It gives me 4 odd days. So in total, how many odd days am I getting? I am getting 4 odd days. Now we have already discussed, in case if you are getting 4 odd days, that means that day should be what? A Thursday. So this is nothing but a Thursday. And let us check it with the facts. Now you can always check it on the calendar. The calendars are easily available on your mobile phone or elsewhere. But before we do that, the answer is already written on the board here. So in my first session, we already talked about that the 31/12/2020 is going to be a Thursday, and you can always cross check your answer. Similarly, another interesting thing that you can do is you already know the day on which you were born. So you can always check it mathematically. How would you check it mathematically? In the same way you will check that the day you were born matches your calculations. And it becomes really interesting, and that you can do for each of the family member. That is just like you're applying the concept of calendars in real life, and when we start doing this, it becomes really interesting. Right? Last but not the least, we talked about for example, the calendar of 2017. Okay, now we are going to be discussing slightly different. So what are we going to discuss? The different part here is calendar of which 2 years would be the same. So if I say that the calendar of 2017 is going to be the same as the calendar of 2028, I should be able to verify the facts, though you already know this because we had discussed this in the last video, but check it mathematically. So if I say that 2017 calendar is going to be the same as the calendar for 2028, all I need to do here is I need to see that the difference here, what is the difference here? 11 years. Now, when I said the difference is 11 years, then I need to check how many non-leap years and how many leap years. For this, there are a couple of ways in which you can check, but the best way is I can write down all the years. That I can always do, but that is time consuming. But when you are doing it for the very first time, maybe you can write down all these 11 years. So when I say when we are writing down all these 11 years, we are basically talking about which year? 18, 19, 20, 21. And let us from here select the number of leap years. So how many leap years did we get? We got 3 leap years. So can I say we are getting 3 leap years from here? Yes, and the balance here is 8 non-leap years. These 3 leap years are going to give me what? 6 odd days plus another 8 odd days for non-leap years. So in total, how many odd days are we getting? We are getting 14 odd days. In short, you are getting what? 0 odd day. Right? Is what you are going to get. Another way to understand this here is, now 0 is just like saying what? It is a multiple of 7 only. 0 is a multiple of anything. Another perspective here is the moment you got here odd days as how much? 14. Now 14 is a multiple of 7. And last time only we talked about that any day repeats itself after every 7 days. That means a day repeats itself after every 7 days means what? 7 or a multiple of 7. So if I'm getting here the number of odd days as a multiple of 7, which is either a 0 or 7 or 14 or 28 and thereon, that means the day repeats itself, which is just like saying that the calendar year remains the same. And here as of now we are talking about non-leap years. Similarly, we talked about had it been a leap year, in that case what will I say? The concept of 7 we have already understood, and we know that every leap year repeats, let's say happens once in every 4 years. So combining both, multiple of 4 and multiple of 7 is just like saying multiple of 28. Yeah. So which is just like saying a leap year. So if I say the calendar year, now 2020 is a leap year, right? The calendar of 2020 would be the same as the calendar of which next year, thereafter. Immediate year after this will be what? 2048. Why? Because this will occur after every 28 years, is what we had discussed in the last video as well. Now, last but not the least, I would suggest that every concept that has been discussed here, you try and prove it mathematically. Take every concept or theorem as a question. Take it as a question, and once you take it as a question, try and prove each and everything. When you are proving each and everything, actually the concept becomes a question itself, rather than looking for new questions. And this, yes, to make it interesting, you can always calculate your birthday and check out with the facts, and that you can do for every friend of yours or family member of yours. Yeah. If you feel that this video was really informative, please do not forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel. If you have already done so, please turn on the bell icon and select all so that you start receiving updates. Thank you so much. Until next we meet, goodbye.